vibing with another show. Tell me everybody, can you catch this flow? We're breaking down mental glass and so you know who we win. Tony Dixon and Friends. They tell me that the sky's the limit. Your purpose calling you, baby, you make the difference. Take charge, do you know who you win? Tony Dixon and Friends. Who we win? Tony Dixon and Friends. Yeah. Tony Dixon and Friends. Tony Dixon and Friends. Who we win? Tony Dixon and Friends.
Of experiences that we haven't shared. Now, the interesting part about it is we have all these years of experiences that we haven't vulnerably talked about, that we can now shine the light on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Like, because I knew you never knew that.
Yeah.
Here I am on what should have been my most exciting day of my life, thinking about y'all.
And so when you said that, it took me back, and I'm like, man, I don't have any memories of that time. And I'm like, what did we do? Did we celebrate?
We did nothing.
What
We did nothing.
Yeah, and I'm like, what?
Because I was already gone.
That's right.
I graduated. Matter of fact, I moved to Memphis before I graduated.
Yeah, because you was working out and all of that stuff, preparing for the draft.
Yeah. So the and then the other side to the story is this. I was announced on commercial break.
Okay.
I remember you told me that. You told me about that part. So it was like a silent, you know what I'm saying, draft pick.
You know, I joke about dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
It wasn't even no dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. It was on commercial, and it rolled across Tony Dixon to Dallas Cowboys. So it was a delayed response from even family and public. I was at home.
Okay.
I was at home because, you know, they told me to be home, be ready. And, you know, Jerry Jones, the phone, everything that they say is real.
Yeah.
I get the phone call. You know, I on the phone, I hear the voice. Hey, Tony Dixon, this is Jerry Jones, right? Now, the funny part, Tony back there playing Dreamcast. I watched the first couple rounds of the draft, and I was like, okay, I'm over it, right? Because remember, I was supposed to be day 2.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I'm not finna do this because why? The story behind the story is, as part of the Deming, I don't want to set an expectation, you know, of going in a higher round only to be disappointed. So the way I handled it, I watched the first few rounds just to see Vic go like I thought he would, and some of the other folks go. And then they told us to run under safeties probably wouldn't happen the day 2. So I'm playing Dreamcast. And they're just chilling, playing football, video games, trying to take my mind off everything. So when the phone call came, I was shocked.
Yeah.
And Dallas traded up to get me. They traded up. They drafted Quincy Carter with the 53rd pick.
Yeah.
And I forget who they traded that pick with, but got me at 56.
Yeah.
So 53, 56. Now, I'm drafted on commercial break. And of course, the first pick is who flies out to do the press conference, not second pick. So I came in, I rolled in with the other picks the week after the draft for our rookie camp. But I always think back on that. It's like, to his point, you know, my family came, they poured into the house, they loved on me and all that kind of stuff. But I started at that point having an outer body experience in life. Yeah. Like I was in it, but I wasn't. I was there physically, but mentally, spiritually, I was gone. I was gone. I was like living a dream. So a lot of it, you know, I don't have a lot of memories because it was moving so fast. And once I got entrenched into that experience, man, I started to isolate myself. You know, one of the biggest, you know, because now all of a sudden you're going out, you're being recognized. But in my mind, the recognition was going to come with failure. Because when I fail, they're going to attack. Yeah. You know, we didn't have social media. Man, we had social media.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
We had social media.
Yeah. The part that I'm so just amazed at right here. Think about what Tony just said. All right, he thought he was going day 2.
Yeah.
All right, he went in the second round where they traded up.
Oh,
You know what that means? That means that he's the only one that thought
they
he was
want.
going later. They knew that they had to
wanted
come
you.
up and get him because other teams were going to get him soon.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's what that means. When somebody trades up for you, that means that they feel as if that by the time that we come around again on this draft board, somebody would have taken you already.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we got to get up there and take what we want now.
yeah.
That's what that means.
And the crazy part about it is, I was drafted to replace Darren Woodson. Because the thought was Darren Woodson was one of the guys. He was one of the last. And his story is similar because you always hear about Troy, Michael, and Emmitt.
Smith.
Yep.
You never hear about Darren Woodson. The day Emmitt Smith broke the NFL rushing record was the same day Darren Woodson broke the all-time tackling record for
Tackling
Dallas
record.
Cowboys. Ring of Honor person. We are a lot alike, and the story was we're the same build. If you see us taking pictures, we look alike.
Yeah.
It looked like we could be brothers, same statue, but I was drafted to replace him. All right?
Yeah.
Nobody told Woody that.
Yeah.
Woody played another 4 years.
Yeah.
So, honestly, had he not got hurt, I may not have had a starting position because he's the Ring of Honor, Darren Woodson.
Yeah.
One of the greatest safeties of chain gang, should be in the Hall of Fame. That's a whole nother conversation. That's when you know it ain't even about who changed the game, because this dude was covering the slot receivers and Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and all these cats as safeties, and allowed Dallas to stay in the base defense. But here I am, getting traded up to take me, and that wasn't a popular decision. So some people within that organization didn't like it. And some of the people that had decision making of whether I played or not didn't like it. Then next year come around, 2002 draft. My friend Roy Williams is drafted.
Yeah.
Superman, Oklahoma. He made his mark jump. He was a phenomenal talent, but made his mark jumping over the pile and tackling the quarterback in the Cotton Bowl. Red River rivalry. Not Cotton Bowl, but Red River rivalry. And so now here I am. And if you know the policies of NFL, he drafted in the first round. It's one of the top picks.
What's going to happen?
Oh, I already knew. Here I am. They traded up to take me because they wanted me. Then I get there. The person that I was drafted for didn't get the memo, so he plays another 4 years. Then the next year you draft somebody in the first round who you had to take, right? Because he's a once-in-a-lifetime talent. But here I am.
In the middle.
In the middle. Just like being drafted on a commercial break. Just like not being with my brothers during draft day.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's a whole nother mental phenomenon, because you're always going to be looked at as a wasted draft pick.
Yeah.
That's how media sees it. That's how public sees it. So guess what? That's how Tony interpreted it. So yeah, why would I go around talking about Tony Dixon for Cowboys?
Yeah.
Because you're going to remember that you were drafted in the second round, but even though I started, even though I got points on the board, that ain't what people remember.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part about that, though, and you're still talking about it in this way, is that that's what people remember.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you might have a media analyst or historian to go back and look at each and every piece of the way and say, hey, here's the nuances of the situation and this is how things happen, or whatever it is. 99.9% of the population are going to see Tony Dixon, where the Dallas Cowboys traded up to get him,
Come on.
drafted in the second round, and be amazed by that story.
Yeah.
That's what 99.9% of the population was saying.
Yeah. We want him.
Yeah. But you're talking about it to where, hey, that small lens of somebody that might look at it and dissect it in that particular way, man, that you accomplished something wonderful.
Yeah. But the thing about it, though, you know, when you think about that stuff and the situation that you went through, it just hits me in my mind that as we get older now, again, when you got drafted, you were, what, 22?
22, yeah.
21,
Somewhere around
22.
there, yeah.
You know, I'm younger. I'm 19, 20, looking up to you, not realizing all of that stuff. But now it's just funny how you evolve in life. And now we're in our 40s. And you think about at that time, what that says to me was it wasn't about you. God was preparing you to be able to come out and share your story to the 99% that Kecalf just talked about. You know, sometimes we find ourselves in situations, man, and we feel like we're struggling. You know, we feel like we got it bad. You know, when you think about it, when you're in the weight room, you lift and you lift and you lift and you keep piling the weight on and you keep piling the weight on until it's that time that you got to use it. You got to use it. And you were put in those situations, man. I think of situations in my life that I found myself in. But I look back on it, it wasn't about you. How many times this is a question for you, how many times have you shared that story with somebody because you found somebody else in a similar situation, or now sitting back looking at it, how many times have you had the opportunity to share that story with somebody, but you just didn't take it because you internalized it and you felt like it was about you?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because fast forward now, I recognize my assignment, right? And I've been mentoring, you know, transitioning players, not just NFL. I mean, I've had transitioning Major League Baseball and other professional sports player come across my desk because we all experience the same thing. And what I've likened it to is grief. It's grief.
Yeah.
It's grief. Like, people always think about death as grief. But no, like, anything that you transition from is grief. You're going to grieve that. You have to go through the grieving process, right? Because that's a part of your DNA. That's a part of not what we internalize and make it of who we are, but because you're in it, that is that extra baggage is not the right word, but that is the extra benefit that you have as part within your arsenal. And when that goes away, you grieve it. You have to.
Yeah.
And so I've been put in a position to talk to people now about that and let them know that, hey, you're more than football. You're more than this. And it's funny you say that because the words I tell them is everything that you've been through in this experience is preparing you for the next journey. Everything. And it took me to see that. But even to your point earlier, and to Kecalf's point, when I go back home and I talk to the young people, and even seeing the faces of the young people now when I'm with my foundation and doing things and hearing their parents come and talk, parents that I played against, right, are now saying, hey, this is Tony Dixon. This guy made it, right? And even if you look at the history, I was the first African-American at my school to get a Division I scholarship to this magnitude. I was the, outside of Walter Jones in Aliceville, I was the second highest to be drafted. Out of this area. So and you asked earlier about dimming your light. That's why I say that ain't nothing but one of the most aggressive tactics of the enemy. It's one of the most because and everybody has an NFL moment. Everybody do. And whatever that moment is, the ploy of the enemy is to isolate you into your own thoughts, to dim it. And now you're running out there and you're not walking in the blessings you receive and not even understanding that these moments are preparing you for something greater, to the point you said. Yeah. Because the kids, to your point, all they see is Tony Dixon made to NFL. Tony Dixon played for Dallas Cowboys. They ain't asked me how many picks I had, how many interceptions, how many tackles, how many years I played. That's me. Yeah. That's me. Nobody like Kecalf. His whole point. He's saying, well, as soon as he say it, he give a whole resume of why this ain't a big deal.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to protect his own emotions. Because he didn't live up to the expectations that he set for himself. And then you add in what you said. What was God's voice in this? What was his perspective in this?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't meant for you to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not about us. This is about Jesus.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, man, it's just so many times. And, you bring it in Jesus and talk about, the Bible, because the Bible is filled with lessons that we have in life. Mm-hmm. And I oftentimes reflect, and, we've all been in the church our whole lives, and we hear the miracles of Jesus and how he turned water into wine and how he healed the lame man and he gave sight to the blind and all of that stuff. But the things that he did that I reflect on is that he did that so that people will talk about him. Mm-hmm. And now they start talking about him, keep talking about him. Now they learning about him. Mm-hmm. And now you realize it's bigger than turning water into wine. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than, okay, Kecalf, you went to the San Diego Chargers, you went to the Dallas Cowboys, but who have we helped? Mm-hmm. And like you said, man, there's so many people that had those NFL moments, not for long in marriage, mm-hmm. not for long on your job, not for long with family members. Yeah. How do you get over that? And you found a way to get over it. Mm-hmm. It took you a while to open up and talk about it, but now you've gotten to that point that we are willing to talk about it and share those stories, with so many other people. And I just sit back and think of some of the foolish things that we did, man. Kecalf, it's not about you. No. It's not about you. Mm-hmm. It's not about me. It's not about Eric McCalpine. It's not about Tony Dixon. And then you sit back and like you said, man, and to hear what other people are saying about you, how some of the former folks that you played against, how they're describing you to their kids. Mm-hmm. Man, this is another question I got, man. This is another question I got because trust me, I grew up in the church, but I wrestle with my faith all the time. Sometimes I go back to God. I go back to Jesus. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? Why didn't you give me this message? Like, hey, I will put you through this test, but here's the assignment. Right. This is the lesson that I would have wanted you to learn because had I known what the lesson was, my emotions would have been different. Mm. But then I go back and I reflect and I hear him say back to me, had you known the answers to the test, you wouldn't have been as strong as you are today.
That's right.
Had we known that we would be sitting here today having these conversations, we would have done things different. Got it. So now I learn to take value in every day. Okay. I learn to take value in every situation. Yeah. I wake up in the morning, you put me on the book, the 5 a.m. club. Yeah. And as I was going to the gym in the morning, man, I would go trying to, get strong or whatever. But now, man, all I listen to is spiritual music to set my mind right because I got to be grateful. Be grateful for the fact that you had a chance to be on the same team with Junior Seau, LaDainian Tomlinson, Drew Brees.
Hall of Famers.
Come on, I'm just saying. Be grateful that you've had an opportunity to play for the America's team. Yeah. I should be grateful for knowing you guys. I should be grateful for having my dad still in my life. Man, you know how many people would trade out their name to have your name and to have the life we live. And we want to dim our light. Man, I'm done. Y'all keep talking. Oh, man. Hey.
This is this is good. And so, and the power of this conversation is, you talked about, you look at where Tony is in his journey of this, and you speak of it is that he's found ways to overcome. I'm an infant in this situation and just figuring this out in this conversation to where, so the key takeaways for me is how do I go out now and talk about this different? Because guess what you just said is why did Jesus do these things in our lives is so that we talk about it. Right? And so our lives is our testimony. Okay. So I'm falling short if I'm not showing and talking about the wonderful things that God allowed me to do and to glorify his name in that situation. So we're at different points of our journey with this dimming our light and overcoming this thing, man. But this has blessed me here today, man.
Yeah. Man. Oh, man. Cool. Thank y'all so much, man. Y'all just continue to tune into the Tony Dixon and Friends podcast, where our goal is to educate, inspire, and challenge you to break your mental glass ceilings. Again, I'm Eric McCalpine, here with Mr. Kecalf Bailey and Tony Dixon.